What's up YouTube, this is Joe from Zephyrwargames and I'm bringing to you guys an update to the Omnimon DNA deck pre-ST 2021, as this deck gets huge support from that deck via the rookies that you get in the starter decks, the Agumon and Gabumon, allowing you to warp Digivolve from the rookie itself via the rookie itself. It really does help out this deck and really does help add more additional combos in the deck with certain cards I'm playing this build, which you'll see in a bit. So I did do a previous profile on this on the channel, but it was a black based variant, and I do really enjoy that variant, and I did actually take that to my most recent locals this past weekend, and it was very fun. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It did put up really good fights against certain meta contenders, with things like Galaton, as I almost won that match, but it unfortunately took to a draw via timeout. Literally, if I did one mega change different, I would have actually won that game, which is very, very funny. But yes, so this is a blue-green variant, as it's the most common variant. I wanted to share with you guys my take on the blue-green, red-blue variant, as that is probably the variant that most people play. So before I get to it, if you enjoy, give us a like and subscribe down below. Ding that notification bell, because obviously if you enjoy posting content here on YouTube, you don't want to miss out on that content, and that notification bell helps prevent that. And all of that is greatly appreciated, and thank you guys so much for doing so. So with all that's done, let's get into Red Blue Omnimon. Obviously for the eggs, we're playing 4 copies of the BT14 Coromon. This is an obvious pick just because it is the most generic draw card that we can utilize for this deck, as you just need to have your opponent's security check for you to draw an additional card. So it allows all of your rookies to basically draw you a card by swinging. For the DNA rookies, we're playing 4 copies of the BT17 Agumon and 2 copies of the BT17 Gabumon. I like the 4-2 split, as I think Gabumon isn't as great, as you need to have a tamer for you to just get an additional draw 1. That can come up quite a lot. But you need to have a tamer with Matter Shooter in play, and all of those cost 4 to play. So you are paying a lot of memory just to get a free draw just by promoting. But does have that important end of turn DNA, which we do utilize. But we are playing some other Gabumons in the deck, which we'll see in a bit. So our Agu to Gabu ratio isn't as more towards Agumon. But the BT Agumon is overall my better choice, as you can start a main. If you have a team with high communities play, naming play, you can get like a Gabumon, Greymon, or Omnimon from your trash to your hand via index names. So we have cheaper ways to play ties in this deck, and so that's why I gone for that one. Recurring your combo pieces like a Metal Garurumon that got searched and hit in security is very, very important for you. For the searchers, though, rookies of the deck, and to round up the rookies, we're playing 4 copies of the BT12 Agumon. This lets you look at top 4 ground of Greymon, Omnimon, its name, and Tamer Type Commune, its name. The all turns 1k if your Greymon or Omnimon does come up quite a bit. It did come up quite a lot in my locals matches. It allows some of my megas to survive certain hits, because I was just at 1k higher. But we are playing 3 copies still of the EX4 Gabumon. I do really like this, can easily quite double hit quite a lot of things in our deck. And so grabs anything Gurumon's name, and then anything with Agumon, Greymon, or Omnimon in its name. You do have to return the pieces to the top of your deck, the ones that you don't grab, so do bear that in mind. But that come in quite a lot of handy if you're used to that play style, as you can now manipulate the next cards you're going to be seeing in your deck, and even manipulate the next cards you're going to be using to search the top of your deck. So with play testing, that play style does get more comfortable. And yeah, so obviously, as you can see, it's not a complete even split. I'm playing 8 Agumons to only 5 Gabumons, but you just need to set up 1 rookie, and if you're consistently seeing Agumon, you can then just consistently play your Metal Garurumon. Moving on to the champions, the only champion we're playing in the deck is just 3 copies of the BT17 Greymon. I took 1 Greymon out for a card you're going to be seeing later on, as I felt like Greymon wasn't always something that was being useful for me at times, and I've actually been quite happy with just the drop of the 3 for the additional card I put in the deck. He gains all the names of Digimon in his evolution sources. If he's called Coremon, he gains 3000 DP, and no matter what, he then gets to delete something equal or less DP as his own. On delete, in both his main and inherents, you can play Tamer of Tycoon's name and then or hatch in your breeding area. Moving on to the Megas, as you know, this deck doesn't play level 5s. We're playing 4 copies of the BT17 Wargreymon and then 1 copy of BT14 Wargreymon. Obviously the BT17 ones are the more important ones, as they reduce their play cost if you have their corresponding tamer in play, and then lets you either do an effect like with Wargreymon, pop an 8000 or less, or allow the opposite rookie to warp into their corresponding mega. Wargreymon gives your Omnimon names a trash top security when attacking. And the PT14 Wargreymon is there just for the additional mega that can just warp from your Agumons. This can change out to essentially any Wargreymon in the future when the starter decks come out, because now the rookies are going to be doing it for you. And an equal split on the Metal Garurumons, playing 4 copies of BT17 Metal Garurumon and then 1 copy of BT15 Metal Garurumon. The 17 one is obviously more important, as it allows you to Agumons to warp and or lets one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers not being able to suspend at the end of the turn. The inheritance is that if you're called Omnimon, when attacking you get to unsuspend. And then similar thing with the Metal Garurumon from BT15 is another warper from your rookie, but again could be swapped out in the future for the Gabumon, as it can just warp into any Metal Garurumon. This one though did come up quite handy in my Omnimon matchup, my Ganamon matchup, as it did allow me to, when Digivolving, force 3 things Digimon or Tamers to not be able to suspend. I literally stunned the entire board by doing that, and it kept me in the game for a turn. For Omnimons, obviously we're playing 4 copies of the BT17 Omnimon Ace. Raid Blocker can blast DNA Digivolve on a Wargreymon or Metal Garurumon. Otherwise, just standard DNA from a Greymon name and a Garurumon name. And on play when Digivolving, if DNA, you may choose one of your opponent's Digimon and return all of the same name to the bottom of the deck, then delete a Digimon. But the Omnimon that came up quite a lot was actually Omnimon Alter S. It just takes a DNA of a red and a blue level 6, which we can do quite comfortably in this deck. When Digivolving, you delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 8000 DP or less, and then return one of your opponent's level 6 or higher to the bottom of their deck. This really did help me out in the Ganamon matchup, returning those Ganamon X's to the bottom of the deck. And if I did this correctly and did it on my last turn, I would have actually returned the GX to the bottom of the deck and actually had enough memory and swings for game. Though all turns, you're never going to get that bit, as we do not play Blitz Greymon and Crest Garurumon. 1 copy of Omnimon Alter B. Now, if you do have it and want to try it, you can play Omnimon X Antibody in this slot as your game finisher. I think in the Omnimon deck, Alter B is still a little bit better, as you can get game much sooner, as your opponent just needs to be at 2 security and this guy gets you the finish, whereas this guy, your opponent needs to be at 1 security and you can get the finish. As long as it can swing for that last check and then swing again. But yeah, Alter B, you DD draw 3, and then when attacking, you return 3 level 6 or higher from its evolution sources to the bottom of your deck to essentially trash your opponent's last 2 security and go for game. That's essentially how we're doing it. It does have some removal, but you're mostly just using this for the finisher. Really, really good card. Really do like it in the deck. My other tech choice, though, which could also just replace the Omnimon for the X Antibody, is the Bond of Bravery Ace, though this does come up quite a lot as we are prominently more Agumon. If you are prominently more Gabumon, I would probably tech in the Gabu Bond. This did come up quite a bit and did catch some of my opponents off guard when they swing. I got 2 or less security. I'm like, okay, cool. Turn Agumon into this, delete your body. I'm like, what? Forgot about that. For Tamers, playing 2 copies of the Mem set of Tai Kamiya from ST15. We do a lot of redirection, and a lot of opponents' Digimon can raid into you, so getting that an extra 1 draw and 2k buff is very, very nice. 4 copies of the BT17 Tai Kamiya and Matt Shooter. Obviously, this is your main tamer for the Omnimon strategy. allowing your Omnimons to attack an opponent directly, and also gain you additional memory if you have a Greymon or Garurumon in play. But the tech that I really do like, I do really like this team, I don't know why other people aren't using it, is the Mat and Tai from EX4. If you play an Archimon or Gabumon, you gain additional memory, essentially turning your Miraculous Mega Knights into 1-cost options, which is very, very strong. But also, and this gets much better when the new starter decks come out, when one of your Digimon Digivolves into a Greymon or Garurumon name, if you only have one Digimon, you get to play the other rookie from your trash without paying the cost. So in the future, when our rookies are allowing us to warp into the corresponding megas, you can warp into a mega, tap the use the tie map to play out the other rookie from trash, and then that mega that you just evolved into can then warp that into the other mega. And if you have the end of turn DNA, you get to then just, you know, pop into an Omnimon for just one single evolution, which is very, very strong. So I do really like this team, and I think it's just going to be a lot more important once those starter decks come out. For the 4th Greymon, I did put in 1 copy of the Tai and Kari from BT17. I did really like to have this as a 3-cost play drop. I might put one more in there. I'm not too sure exactly what to take out for it, but I did really like having this as just a simple 3-drop tamer to draw me a card and play the other, one of my more expensive tamers, essentially for 0 memory. Then we're playing 4 copies of the Miraculous Mega Knight. Obviously, this is our main protection card and our DNA if one of our guys would leave the battle area other than through battle. And then 3 copies of the LM Wisteria Members. Obviously, if we are playing a red-blue base, this card becomes equally very important in the deck, as it searches everything in our deck, besides our Omnimons and our Gabumon from EX. And obviously our Greymons. So this searches a lot of the Digimon in our deck. That's very, very important. And the extra 2 memory, again, is also very nice. But that, guys, is it for Red Blue Omnimon. I will be updating this once the starter decks come out, so do bear that in mind and stay tuned to the channel so you don't miss out on that video when it comes out. I'm really excited to be playtesting this deck a lot more, again, once the new starter decks come out. And I do hope that you're going to be as equally excited as I am to be playtesting Omnimon in a more adventure style. So, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. Till next time, as always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.